Hello everyone and welcome to the 11th episode of Super Sourcecast. I'm your host NantenJex and joining me today is article lead Spazzy.
Hey guys.
And video editor TheMangoViking.
Hello.
So, first of all, as is tradition now with every Super Sourcecast, how you all doing? Hey, how's it going, Spazzy?
It's fantastic. Everything is wonderful. It's great. I think I'm going to go buy a PlayStation 3 today.
PlayStation 3?
PlayStation 3, man. This is the best time always to buy the last gen when it's almost, when you're on the cusp of probably the next gen coming up. So you're like, man, because you're at the point right now where there's no like retro feels for it, no nostalgia for like the PS3. So it's super cheap, but people aren't already starting to be like, oh, I need to like finish my PlayStation 3 collections. So like this is like the premier time. Like when the current generation is like feeling like it's almost over, that's when you go back to the last generation and you're all like, man, time to like get my collection from there, because you can go to like a thrift store, a GameStop, whatever, bargain bins, and pick up like every game for nothing. And like 5 years from now, they're all going to be so expensive. So
maybe I should be. I mean, to be fair, I was thinking of because the WiiWare is going to stop letting you put points on in March, and so one of my plans to do at some point is I looked on the Wii shop on my Wii U, because that's where all my Wii save data is, and I was just like, okay, if I put 45 quid in there, I can buy all of the Nintendo-made WiiWare titles that I missed out on, apart from the ones that don't work anymore, like Pokemon Ranch.
You know what I would suggest you get, actually, is the Konami Rebirth games, because those games were really good and unique to WiiWare. Like Castlevania, Gradius, and Contra. And Castlevania, which is like a remake of the Game Boy game, and it's like a brand new 2D style Castlevania, the last one they made. Only place to get it is on WiiWare. And the Contra one is interesting because it's like a remix with levels from the Super Nintendo title from Contra 3, and from the Genesis game, a couple from like Hardcore. It's a really like cool 2D Contra. And they're cheap too, so I would suggest that. And by the way, I did own a PlayStation 3, but it died a while back, so I'm all like, time to go do that. Play those. Finally finished 3D Dot Heroes, which is a game I was playing.
I need to finish that as well. I just kind of stopped that.
It's a really good game though, but yeah, it's like a little, I don't know. It's a really good take on 2D Zelda. But, like, there's just something missing that's, like, the magic of 2D Zelda. I don't know what it is.
I just eventually got bored of it, which is why I stopped playing. But it was one of those things that I've always, like, I'll go back and finish one day. I just want to play this new game, and then never went back to.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. So, yeah, I'm doing good. Anyways,
speaking of those Rebirth games, though, wasn't Stealth, whether you believe him or not, he said there was a rumor that Konami were bringing the Rebirth games to Switch. And as well as doing a new one, apparently.
I heard that, but, I mean, I don't know. And you know what Rebirth they should totally do? Metal Gear Rebirth. Just redo the original MSX/NES game.
Hey, I'll be down for that.
I mean, it seems really logical. Probably some Mystical Ninja. I'm trying to figure out what
Mystical Ninja
Bomberman Rebirth.
All right, well, Mango, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Will you have enough room on your Wii for all those games? Because I don't even remember how much space does the Wii even have on its.
Well, I have
memory?
I have an external hard drive. I don't know whether or not Wii U games can fit onto that, but otherwise I'll just get an SD card because they do fit onto that. I remember the Wii had, because I had it on my old way before the Wii U. You could put an SD card in and then just access it all straight from the SD card via another menu. And that's where I used to keep all of my WiiWare and Virtual Console games downloaded, so I had them all done at once.
Right, and you can pick up a 1 gigabyte SD card for like $5 to $10.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine to have that for rock and roll climber and bonsai barber.
Yeah,
and
those are not big games.
Yeah, it's a shame. I should have thought about this. Well, actually, I need money to do this with DSi because you can no longer buy DSi games. But they were quite Nintendo released quite a lot of DSi games. I guess they were like the only ones really supporting it, and so like there's tons and tons of them that I just never played, and I guess I can't anymore because they closed down that shop, which is sad. But oh well. Hopefully they'll come back in some way in the future. Game preservation and all that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm doing also alright, so why don't we talk about what games we've been playing at the moment? And I guess I will start. And I've been playing Persona 5 still. I think the last time I was on a podcast I was playing Persona 5. But I'm much closer to the end. I had to stop because I got Dragon Ball FighterZ. And so I'm playing through that, and I've nearly done the story mode, which means I've nearly unlocked Android 21 as a playable character. But I'm enjoying both of them. Persona 5 is getting better and better. I'm nearly, second to last dungeon, I think. And Dragon Ball FighterZ, I'm not like a massive fighting game fan in the community, but I know a bunch of my friends were getting it, and so we all played it together, and it was really fun. Do either of you guys have Dragon Ball FighterZ?
Yeah, that's basically. I as I've mentioned the last couple times, I've been on this. I don't at the moment have too much time for gaming, but pretty much all of my gaming time has been going to Dragon Ball FighterZ, and then to trying to slowly, in the longest time possible, beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
How far are you up to on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 now?
I'm on like chapter 5. I'm not very far. I play I'm like, well, here's my 2 hours to play Xenoblade this week.
Yeah, my way of doing this has been weekdays after work, play Dragon Ball FighterZ for an hour, and then weekends, because I have the day off, I play Persona 5 for like 4 or 5 hours to push through.
Yeah, I'm working full time, and I started taking classes again, so I just don't. I at the moment, I just don't have a lot of time, and I have been. I have some friends at work and my cousin that have been playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, so that's where my time's been going.
Who are your 3 main characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ?
Yamcha, because he's Yamcha. Also because he's really good. Really good grounded fighter. I like playing. I switch up my characters so much in that game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. I like Frieza a lot. Frieza's pretty dope. And Kid Boo's pretty awesome too. So.
I think my 3 are Hit. I really wanted to get good at doing Hit, and so I practiced to figure out how he works, and I understand him now. And he's quite fun. He can pretty much attack from across the screen. It's awesome. And I also like Adult Gohan. I think Adult Gohan's pretty cool, and his level 1 special's really good for getting people away, and it also makes him stronger, so it's perfect for finishing off combos. And then I also like Nappa. I destroy with Nappa. He's not a very fast character, but he absolutely obliterates through people once you get his opponents into a combo.
Yeah,
Super satisfying.
And his key attacks are pretty good too.
Yeah, and he has a really good key attack. And I found using Cybermen to be quite amusing. I plant a Cyberman, and then someone gets me and starts juggling me. You know how the camera goes up when you're in the air, so they can't see the Cyberman that's running below. And you just see an explosion from the bottom, and I fall down, and they've been damaged.
The game has so much polish on it that it's amazing, and it really makes we were talking about this a little bit before we went on air, which always sounds pretentious whenever you hear it in any podcast or YouTube video. Before we got on air, we were having super serious conversations, guys. But how bad it kind of makes Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is not having a good time anyways, but it happened to come out in close proximity to another versus game that has so much fan service and the right type of fan service.
Yeah. I think the fan service in this game is great. I mean, that's apart from unlocking Android 21, that's what I'm enjoying in the story mode. Just looking up a list. I looked up a list of all the characters who have unique scenes together, and then I just always pick them when I'm going through so I can see the interactions.
Yeah, and even just when you're playing with just online or with friends or whatever, just all the dramatic finishes and everything, and the unique character interactions for finishes and all sorts of stuff. And that's something that I want to see more of in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
I feel like Sakurai's so like hesitant because, and I believe I'll have to look through all of our translations, but I know he said somewhere that he's hesitant to do like costumes because these are like iconic characters, and these are iconic characters from different places, so you want them to be immediately like recognizable as like that's Mario, not like Mario in a stupid shirt, when he's fighting against Sonic or something, something from out of the ordinary. But I mean, like, I feel like just doing alternate costumes or doing like unique dialogue between characters, and they did it a little bit in Smash 4 where like, if you're fighting against Fox and Falco, they have like unique dialogue when they win or lose.
Yeah, Lucina and Robin have that as well.
Right, like there's a few, and there's also a few alternate costumes, but like I really like if the next Smash was just like a refined version of Smash 4, like, I don't know, add 10 characters, add new stages, add new modes, but it's basically the same game. Like, I feel like a really nice refinement, 100%, would be just more fan servicey stuff like that. Like, that's what I really want out of Smash. Because Smash is just like, it's a celebration of like video games and their fans, and it's like, why don't we have more than that?
Well, I think one cool way to do it would be if you in the victory screens, if you're doing team battle, and say you have Mario and Peach, like, say you have Mario and Peach team and they win, you could have the scene where like Peach leans over and kisses Mario on the cheek, like, at the end of basically every Mario game ever.
Right.
You could have that as a victory animation, but specifically if you have those two. And I think that would be a really nice way of doing fan service, because it's a good way of doing proper interactions.
Well, that would also kind of be more visible than the Palutena or the Snake Codex too, right? Because you have to specifically like go out of your way to do that, and if you didn't know that, then like you'd never stumble upon it.
Mm-hmm.
But the team battle thing, like you could team up and then just see that and be like, oh, hey, that's cool. I wonder if X character and this other character have a special combo.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Motivate people to try out unique combos. Motivate people to do more team battle, I think, as well.
Yeah.
But, Mango, what are you playing then at the moment?
So it's funny because Spazzy was saying, he's revisiting an old console and getting into that. And I'm like, that actually makes more sense. Whatever. I thought it was funny because I just recently bought a PS4 and that's how I felt. And then you're like, no, I'm talking about the PS3. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, you're actually going back to an old console. Mine's still like sort of, it's 4 years old still, but I mean, they're still making games. But I just beat Infamous a day or two ago, Infamous Second Son. It's pretty good. Like, I figured it was going to be like average, which is fine. The powers are pretty cool. It's been a while since I played the first two. I don't think it's as good. And like jumping around is really like janky, and he'll like cling on to things and you can like hover in the air, but sometimes he'll still like gravitate towards certain spots. So you'll try to move in a direction and he's like, nope, I'm going this way. Like, okay, you really think so? But I think all the powers are pretty cool.
Okay.
A lot more unique than before.
Alright then. I have never played an Infamous game, so I don't really have an opinion of them. I only really know them through PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale with Good Cole and Evil Cole. Everyone's favourite character in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. They've never really appealed to me, so I've never played one of those games either. And I mean, I've owned every Sony console. I just like have never been like, no, you know what I need to play is Infamous, and I'm I like some of their first party stuff. Uncharted's pretty good. God of War, I used to think was great, and now I'm like I'm really tired of God of War. But but yeah, Infamous, I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out sometime. Do they have a remastered collection on PS4 of every Infamous? I feel like isn't that what Sony does?
No, they don't. I think they just have the first two on the first one. Or the PS3.
Oh, PS3, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that sounds... I feel like that's something they will do eventually. Did they do that with Killzone? Killzone's franchise kind of like Infamous that I'd never really bothered looking into much, but I know it's a popular Sony series.
I don't know. They're probably on not their whatever their cloud service is, the
PlayStation Now
streaming service. Yeah, or maybe it's available to like buy digitally.
Okay.
It's probably on PS Now, but I don't know if you'd really want to do that. I probably wouldn't suggest it.
No, I've got no plans for that. But speaking of online and stuff, why don't we jump straight into our news articles now? And the biggest thing that happened between the last podcast and this one was the investors' meetings. And was going from Nintendo's, there were three main things we brought up. And one of these we already did a separate discussion about with Mario Kart Tour, the new mobile game, so we're not going to bother with that today. But the next thing was Nintendo Switches Online. We finally have a bit of information about it, mainly that it's coming in September, or so they say. But recently, Kimishima said that, in that same investors meeting, but the translation came out afterwards, he said it'd be worth the wait for the online, and that they have lots of cool stuff planned for it to make people want to pay for it.
For your $20, you get online, and they're also going to send you some cardboard.
Yeah.
Nintendo Labo Online. But I just thought we'd talk about that. So what are your guys' reaction to the news that, Nintendo Switch's online service finally has some kind of information behind it? Do you think it will make September? And what sort of stuff do you think that we'll see what sort of special features do they have planned for people, do you think? Spazzy, we'll start with you.
I almost feel like they're going to tie it in with some sort of product at launch, and like, every other Smash shirt, I'm like, so yeah, Smash in September, of course. Because it has to launch around the same time as a large game, because, I mean, at this point, people have been playing Mario Kart and Mario Kart for so long. They've been playing Splatoon. For so long. They may or may not have been playing ARMS for so long, but none of them will bring the appeal of, I need to pay to play this new game. So there needs to be an influx of people that are going to play online games, and I can't think of many Nintendo IPs that will do that. I don't know. Maybe they're going to launch with the Nintendo Switch version of Fortnite. There's got to be something, or hell, maybe some Metroid Prime Blast Ball 2.
I'm still leaning towards Mario Maker 2 a little bit, or Smash. I mean, maybe Smash, but I think Mario Maker is a game that uses online so extensively that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you don't pay for the chance to share your stuff online. That's not what people want out of it. And with the paid online, I'm wondering if they're going to be revamping the voice chat or add any features like that. They're saying it's worth the wait, but how is it worth the wait? Unless they're just talking about having some sort of service, like, we always talk about like a Netflix style rental service for games or something, which I think it's going to be, I think that will be a lot more robust than what they announced. It's not going to just be like one or two Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I agree. But, I don't know. So.
Okay. Mango, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Even like spin-off games to play online, like Mario Tennis or whatever, like that, people are going to be playing that and be done with it well before this. So I can't even think of a spin-off game they could launch around there.
Well, I mean,
but
here's an interesting thought, though. Do you think that the games that they've already released now that have online, like Splatoon and ARMS and Mario Kart and stuff, do you think when the online service suddenly becomes something you have to pay for, that they'll just stop letting people use them games online?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like I wonder. I know that some people might already be sick of playing Splatoon and stuff like this, but if, like, I don't know, maybe if you've been playing and you're so used to it being free, and then one day it's just like, nope, you can no longer do what you've been doing for the past year unless you now pay us. Seems kind of like a big slap in the face for some people. I can imagine a lot of people being upset by that.
I mean, yeah.
Sony did it after like 4 years or 6 years or whatever, so I'm pretty sure we can deal with that.
And Nintendo straight up I was saying that it was basically an extended free trial,
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if they were going to maybe like, if you want to access these premium servers or something, then you pay for online. Otherwise, it's free for these games, at least, anyway.
Maybe rather than have like a game at launch, they might just add new features to all of their old online games to make it more interesting. Like, oh, sorry you can't play it online for free anymore, but we're adding these new features for those games to like get people back into it. Maybe.
I mean,
I doubt it, but I mean, it's another idea.
Do you think so? A lot of people have obviously been thinking that stuff like the virtual console and themes and just the whole basic UI and system update was being like sort of held off until the online was ready. Do you think that this means that we're not going to see anything like virtual console or that until September now, or is there a chance that they'll launch all that prior to E3?
Oh, I think it'll definitely be held off to online. And, I could even see things like, because they'll probably revamp the store, too, and revamp the UI and everything. Yeah, I think that's all going to be part of the same package. I mean, maybe if you subscribe, they can also give you themes. Every month you get a new theme that you can add to your collection or whatever.
Well, actually, they just announced also recently, which I guess kind of ties into this, so I'll bring it up, that My Nintendo Rewards starting in March will start actually working on the Switch, and you can now use your gold coins to help buy actual games on the eShop and finally give them some use with an exchange rate of like 1 gold coin is 1 penny, which is a bit of a crappy exchange rate, but they've increased how many gold coins you get now per game, at least on downloaded games. So I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know that before it was like you get 12 gold coins by registering a game, and now you get 60.
I have here. Look, I'm looking right now. I've got, I guess, like 9 boxed Switch games. I got my Switch, and I have a ton of downloadable titles. And I have not actually registered anything, so maybe holding off would be good.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, definitely hold off until March to do that. I mean, I've got 74 gold coins on.
I thought you were going to say boxed games. I'm like, wait, what?
No, I have 74 gold coins on my Nintendo. But I think out of all the games that I've got, I've only registered Breath of the Wild and maybe ARMS, if I remember correctly. I haven't done any of the others, so mainly just because I kind of gave up on my Nintendo because it was such a useless service.
Yeah, Club Nintendo was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a sucker. I registered them all because I knew I would forget, and now I should have forgot.
But that would be something. Well, apparently you get an Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival theme for 20 gold coins. Oh boy.
Oh man.
But yeah. So that's coming soon, but that's coming before the online. So because a lot of people thought Nintendo Switch rewards would come, and I guess these technically aren't Nintendo Switch rewards. Maybe those will come with the online service. But a lot of people were thinking that's when the My Nintendo update would come, but it's obviously coming before then. So maybe that's a sign that they'll slowly. Because it's also like, do you think this Netflix style service will be the replacement for Virtual Console, or do you think it'll be something on to the side of Virtual Console?
I think that maybe Virtual Console as we know it is not going to exist, but I can't see them. Like, you know how, for instance, if you bought, like, on the 3DS, I have the Nintendo did the 3D Classics where they updated them a little bit. And then Sega did their own 3D Classics. And the Sega 3D Classics are just really nice. Like, the Nintendo ones are as well. I mean, they made some changes. But I feel like now when, like, Sega or Capcom and other companies are repackaging their old ROMs and old games and their old remasters, they add a lot of extras to it. So that you have different options, different things to do with save states, different, ratios. Some of them, like when they do the collections like Mega Man and Street Fighter or whatever, they include a bunch of like random stuff. I feel like Nintendo might be moving more towards having like a special edition. Like, let's say you buy Smash 64, but it'll you'll have a lot of options to play it, and maybe they'll even put some code in so you could play it online with your friends.
Yeah, well, that was one of the big things they were announcing for this originally, that the Virtual Console games would come equipped with online. To the extent of that, whether or not you'll be able to play Mario Kart 64 online, or whether or not that just means there'll be like a shared ghost data instead. We don't know the full extent of. But that's something that I feel like would be exclusive. Well, obviously it is exclusive to those who paid for the online service. But I guess what I'm thinking is, like, Nintendo surely wouldn't hold off Virtual Console to only those who bought the online, right? Like, that seems a bit counterintuitive to business. Like, even if someone hasn't paid for the online, you're still going to let them access the eShop and stuff so they can buy things.
Well, no, obviously, but I think the Virtual Console as a brand might be dead, but I still think they might sell, like, Super Mario Brothers 3. But it won't be under, like, the Virtual Console umbrella. You know what I mean?
Kind of like what they've been doing with the Arcade Archive, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even, like, how the Neo Geo games are coming out. Are those under the same umbrella? No, because those... they're also done by
they're done by the same company. I know that much.
Yeah, so like kind of like that, where it's not advertised as a game on, Neo Geo or whatever. Just like, oh, it's just Super Mario Brothers 3,
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to so next news story then. Let's move on from that. 'Cause I think we've all given our thoughts. Also talked about in this investors meeting was the Super Mario movie is actually now confirmed, with Illuminations being the studio behind it, and Miyamoto is the producer on the series, along with the guy who founded Illumination, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. So this, I think, Spazzy, you and I have talked about this back when it was first rumoured a while back, and we started talking about other Nintendo potential movies. So I want to get your thoughts on this, Mango, first. What are your thoughts on this announcement of a Super Mario Brothers movie?
I guess it's not all that surprising, since they've, mentioned they wanted to branch out with different avenues to get people to recognize their characters a couple of years ago. They have the Universal theme park that's going to come out eventually at some point. They, I think they had some other stuff.
Yeah, well, they announced that they wanted to start pushing their IPs in new ways, and so they've released some trading cards of stuff, and they announced that they were going to be making movies. There's rumors of them being a Netflix series and all sorts like that. So I think a movie we were expecting for a while. I think it's the fact that it's made by Illuminations, who have a kind of iffy reputation, let's say. Yeah. So, like, I don't know, do you have any sort of history with Illuminations? Have you seen any of their movies prior to this?
I saw Despicable 1, and I think that was the only one out of their movies. I've seen, like, bits and pieces of the Minions movie on, like, trailers or around everywhere. I guess I don't really get why people would be that mad that Nintendo's working with them, because I don't think it's gonna be like, the Minions movie, but with the Mario skin, so you're gonna have Mario farting all over the place and doing all these crude things. I mean, maybe if they make a Wario movie for Push Dustin, they could do that.
Yeah,
but
the Lorax movie was pretty awful. They did that too.
Yeah,
just looking through.
Yeah, well, Lorax movie was just like, it kind of didn't get the point of the Lorax. I think that was what upset a lot of people.
Yeah, but if you look at their I'm just looking at their filmography right now. If you look at their Minions movies, they tend to score pretty well and do well. I mean, the Minion movies do great, money-wise. They're just, not really well received critically. But like Sing and The Secret Life of Pets, I mean, those are okay movies.
Yeah, I saw Secret Life of Pets. That's okay. Sing just seemed really crappy to me. It kind of just seemed generic as all hell. But like, I think what made me laugh is Illumination's like literal motto is making animated movies on as little budget as possible, basically. And so they reuse a lot of assets and stuff. But what makes me laugh with this is that Nintendo originally had the same motto basically when Gunpei Yokoi was out. That they should, with the whole thing about the Game Boy, is basically making something good for as cheap as possible. Like, their philosophy was, at that time, we don't need to have the most highest tech portable machine, as long as it's got fun games to play and it's affordable for parents.
lateral thinking of withered technology.
Yes, that was it. And that's basically the same thing Illuminations tries to do with animated movies. Make it as simple and as cheap as possible. It kind of fits. I think also a big thing that Illuminations does, which in Sing is very noticeable, is that they reuse the same character models over and over again. So in Sing, you can see like the same crocodile model of the crocodile wearing a hat and with a yellow shirt,
right.
I think.
But check
like
this out,
36 times.
But how perfect is that for making a movie about games that rose to prominence in the 8 and 16-bit era when everything were just palette swaps?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was going to be my point. How perfect is that for a movie where basically all the NPC are Toad?
Yeah. We have red Koopas, and then we've got green Koopas.
It's like amazingly justified that, and I'm sure there'll still be people who are like, oh, why don't all these Toads look different and stuff? And it's like, well, you know what, if they're making a movie based on the original Super Mario Brothers, they can just reuse the Koopa model 3 times and have it be 3 different characters, or like have a background of all the same Toad models.
I'm just more interested in the actual like voice acting. Are they going to get like celebrities, or are they going to get
Yeah, the voice acting is
Charles Martin, like the voice of Mario. I can't see that voice for an entire movie. Like,
yeah, Now I think the voice acting is the biggest issue for me, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, you can't make a Super Mario Brothers movie. Yes, you can. I mean, the Japanese...
They've made RPGs that are like 40 hours long. They can make a 90-minute movie.
Like, a lot of people are like, you can't translate the original Super Mario Brothers into a movie. But you can. I mean, the Japanese Super Mario Brothers anime movie, which is only an hour long, is basically just a road trip movie between Mario and Luigi traveling through the Mushroom Kingdom. Basically like a comedy fantasy road trip. And every so often it cuts to Peach and Bowser just to remind you, yeah, these guys are in the movie. For the most part, it's like Mario and Luigi get tricked by a bunch of Goombas to be attacked by piranha plants, or Mario and Luigi get attacked by a Lakitu but manage to knock him out of his cloud and steal it, and Mario and Luigi get locked in a prison by Hammer Brothers and they manage to break out. And I think like the formula works, and it really focuses on the relationship of the brothers. And so I think that could work really well for just having a Mario movie. Have Mario and Luigi travel, visit locations from the games, fight enemies from the games, get the power-ups from the games, cut to Peach and Bowser every so often so that people can connect with them, and then have a big final fight at Bowser's Castle, and there you go. Movie.
Yeah, it's a typical like hero's journey arc. It's not that hard.
I mean, the Japanese movie even had Mario and Luigi fall out at some point. Well, I think it was when they're in the prison cell. It's very brief. They only fall out for like 2 minutes. But it's that kind of like, you know, getting into an argument, and you see that always in the movie, the downside where the two fight and then split up, and then they have to come back together to save the day and make up.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is when people are all like, who can we get to voice Mario? Chris Pratt? You know, like
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, exactly.
Voice acting, like, I don't mind. I think it's the Charles Martinet thing, right? Like, a lot of people are used to Charles Martinet being Mario and Luigi. And he can do Mario and Luigi with proper dialogue. It's just, does that work for, like a 90-minute movie? I mean, no one is particularly bothered if they decide to replace Peach and Bowser's voice actors with celebrities. But Mario's is so iconic that while it makes sense to replace him with a celebrity who will be able to do the voice work and potentially also bring in sales because it's that celebrity, it also won't really be Mario anymore.
Right, but then the other thing is we keep Mario with his video game voice, but then we're like, but Bowser, Benedict Cumberbatch, you know?
Well, I think it's because, remember, in the Mario movies that no one really talks. I guess that's the other thing. Do you have Mario just say one-off lines, or... I guess they'd have to talk.
Yeah, unless they make a Paper Mario movie. Why aren't they making a Paper Mario movie? God, that'd be so much better.
I think they could service both. In the Mario and Luigi games, they both have them do weird mumbles, and then like once in a while they'll say like an actual word or two.
Yeah. Oh no!
But what they could do is that, and then have like all the NPCs talk instead,
Just
because that's how the games usually work. All the characters talk,
well,
and then they just kind of react.
well, they give Mario and Luigi like this third the sidekick. I think it's Starlo or something, and then she does all the talking instead, basically for them.
You know what I love about adaptations from video games, especially because I was just talking about like Paper Mario, is that they always like, I feel like these adaptations always like adapt like pretty much everything, and then they like grab like one random thing from a game that you're like, why is that in there? They're like, but also Mario's best friend Coop, he's a Koopa. You're like, what? Why are you doing that? But I look forward to like...
Isn't that kind of like, Daisy is the princess now in the original Mario movie. And also, his Bowser's two right-hand man, Iggy and Spike. One of the Koopalings and then a random enemy.
My favorite thing was Big Bertha. It was amazing. It's like big old lady in a red dress. I'm like, okay,
there you perfect. Go, Big Bertha. Okay, well, do either of you have any more comments on Super Mario movie? I guess, when do you guys expect this to come out? I don't think they gave a sort of definitive release date.
I mean, this isn't a Pixar or even a DreamWorks movie. It'll be out. Illumination Studios will get it out in 6 months.
So end of this year, okay.
Gosh. Yeah, within the next 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah, I think 2019 sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
they'll try to coincide it with the opening of the theme park.
Maybe that's meant to be 2020, I think, in Japan, because I think they went up for the Olympics. So,
I think it'll turn out fine. I think Miyamoto headed the Pikmin shorts, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and those were good. So
and I'm sure Nintendo will want. I think Nintendo will want. Well, the Star Fox animated short was better than the game.
That was really good. It makes me want a Star Fox anime. I'm curious to see if the rumors of a Netflix series are true, whether or not it's a Zelda series or a Splatoon series. I feel like it has to be one of those two, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Splatoon one was just the like animated YouTube shorts, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was the animated version of the Splatoon manga, and it was a bit shit.
Okay.
But as a proper Netflix series, either Zelda or Splatoon, I think would work.
Yeah.
And then Fire Emblem and Star Fox make good animes, so I can see them going that.
Fire Emblem would be like anime Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the next point on the list. And that is that a new rumor. I guess this rumor's been kind of out for a while, but major publications like Eurogamer are starting to report on it, so that's why we're going to bring it up now. Metroid Prime 4 is being developed by Bandai Namco. Now, this has kind of had some ups and downs. Can't remember who the original person was. It was probably on Reset Era that dropped the Metroid Prime 4 Bandai Namco leak. Rumor, sorry. And then, looking into it, first Eurogamer reported that it was going to be made by Bandai Namco Singapore.
Yes.
Who are a fairly new branch of Bandai Namco, and most notably had members from LucasArts there who are working on Star Wars 1313.
Metroid 1313.
Which was obviously, it was a really hyped single-player Star Wars game that EA cancelled because single-player games don't do anything anymore, apparently.
Which is funny because when you look at all of the winners from the Game Awards and the best-selling games of the last year on any console, from Horizon to Breath of the Wild, you're all like, hey.
Or single players, I know. But so that's got a lot of people excited. But then when more, I guess, searching into this are done, other insiders, quote-unquote, were questioning Bandai Namco Singapore. And a lot of people, myself included in this, thought it would be really weird that Nintendo would offshoot this to a country where they don't really have much for a big presence. Like, I don't think there's a Nintendo Singapore. Like, it makes sense in America because they got Nintendo of America to keep an eye on it, and it makes a lot of sense in Japan because that's where Nintendo's based. But in Singapore, that's really random, especially if Nintendo were also helping out on this. And when looking into a bit more, Eurogamer has since updated their thing to say that actually Metroid it began working in Singapore, but only very early preliminary stuff until the team was ready in Bandai Namco Japan, and then it got moved to there. And then the Singapore team is working on something else that's an exclusive to Switch, which according to that... Actually, that's the thing that brought it up, wasn't it? It was the LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there was a director or designer for Bandai Namco Singapore, and he listed...
just said first-person shooter.
Yeah, he just said a first-person shooter adventure game or whatever, and everyone jumped on. But he also said it was exclusive to the Switch, and everyone jumped on it being Metroid Prime, which maybe they did start Metroid Prime, and it's since moved over, and now Ridge Racer 8, the other game he had on his list that's exclusive to the Switch, is the new one.
Man, you know, if we were gonna get a racing series that was iconic to PlayStation, I would have rather got Wipeout. Anyways,
doesn't Sony own Wipeout?
I think they do. Yeah,
yeah, it's a bit harder that, but Ridge Racer, I think that works quite well. But yeah,
I mean, Ridge Racer is also it's an arcadey style, which I think fits a little bit better on Switch. Mm-hmm. Racing game in that it's still a realistic racer, but it has that kind of arcade feel where it doesn't the physics and everything don't have to feel like, wow, this is like a real car, like Gran Turismo style. Like it's a little more loose and fast, and I think it's a good fit.
Okay, so Mango, what do you think about Metroid Prime 4 then being developed by Bandai Namco, either Singapore or Japan?
Yeah, I think this story about it started off in Singapore and went to Japan is, if this thing is true, more likely, because I don't think Nintendo would just hand it off to someone they're not familiar with, I guess. I guess it wouldn't be too surprising that they hand off Metroid to someone else, because they've done that with other franchises before. They gave Capcom Zelda, at least for the handheld ones. Metroid is... Retro, they gave it to Retro Studios and Team Ninja, which both went two different ways, depending how you look at it.
I think, remember, Namco Bandai also made a Star Fox game, which Star Fox Assault was done by them. I think what threw me off with Namco Bandai is that I couldn't think of any first-person shooters they've ever made. I mean, that's not saying that they can't, but they've never done it before. So... it seems like an interesting choice. I'm only wondering, maybe because Namco Bandai have had a pretty good relationship with Nintendo over the last few years. They made Smash, they made Pokken. Who knows what else they could be working on with Nintendo. So maybe that's why?
Yeah, it might just be a partnership thing. We like working with this company. Retro is going to do something else, so, we trusted you with Smash Bros, for crying out loud. We can probably trust you with Metroid, which sells a lot less anyway. So if you mess up, it's okay. We've messed up before.
And Tanabe is still going to be the producer and overlooking it. So that's so we'll probably continue in the same direction that they had hoped it would continue in, even if Retro's not working it. Because I know a lot of people were seemingly worried that maybe they would, with a new team, they wouldn't finally get their Sylux versus Samus escapades that have been promised for so long. But I doubt that, to be honest. It's definitely going to have Sylux in it, this game. They can't not do it, especially after the ending of Federation Force, which basically outright showed Sylux stealing a Metroid and pretty much set up for this new game.
They're like, we understand that you like villains and steal Metroids. Here's Sylux. I still think Namco was, just in general, is not a weird choice for partner for Nintendo, obviously. I mean, hell, they made Smash, but can you name what iconic first-person games Namco has developed?
Right, yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
I can't think of them ever tackling this genre before, so...
Right, it would make more, if you found out that, hey, Nintendo has a new... That'd be weird, too, because they don't really... Because, I feel like, how many times have you seen Nintendo license their IP to a Western studio? I can't think of one.
License their IP to a Western... a Western studio not... because you have Next Level Games, and Next Level Games aren't owned by Nintendo, but they do have... They formed a partnership with Nintendo, but it's a bit like HAL and Game Freak's partnership with
Right,
Nintendo.
Yeah, it's like a second party thing.
Yeah.
Or, and obviously Retro and Rare were first party more or less, so those don't really count.
And you say this, but Ubisoft and Mario and Rabbids was literally last year.
I couldn't. I was going over all of the, I'm like, everything from Nobunobu's Ambition and Pokemon, like everything that Nintendo's done. I'm like, Pokken. I'm like, I can't think of one. I'm like, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I was gonna say because most of the companies you would think of that are iconic, for, like ID Software, Bethesda. Like if I found out that Bethesda was helping out, I'd be all like, well, that makes sense. They do first-person shooters.
Well, even Platinum Games. I mean, Platinum Games made Vanquish, so at least they've got some experience.
That's true. Like Platinum would
shooters.
make sense. Yeah, just Namco. But Namco's a big company. If they do have people that were working on a Star Wars game, I'm sure. Like honestly, I'm sure there's very little crossover between it, but. When you're making big sci-fi games, I'm sure they'd try to reuse a lot of their assets.
Yeah. Reuse some ideas and stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe they're looking at it more from like an adventure perspective, because like, yeah, it's first person and you do shoot, but it's also like equally, if not more, the adventure aspect. So maybe they're
it's not a competitive shooter.
Although
there was that rumor on 4chan, the most credible places, that was basically like, it's going to have a bit about Silex's backstory, and it's going to be loads of hunters you can play as, and there's going to be a competitive multiplayer mode where you can play as the Federation and all the hunters, and it's going to have Nintendo are going to try and hype it up to be their like big competitive shooting game to fight the likes of COD and shit like that.
And shit like that.
Yeah. And I was just like, no, go away.
Maybe it's a Time Crisis reboot.
Oh yeah, they did Time Crisis, didn't they, Namco Bandai? So I guess they have done.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for Time Crisis, or a reimagining of the Nintendo classic Rolling Thunder as a first person. I don't know. I'm thinking of anything that I've ever played from Namco that involves a gun, and that's as far as I go with those two games, those two series.
All right. Well, does anyone have any more thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 being developed by Bamco, or shall I move on?
I think that's it for me.
Yep. Alright, so the next one is now also a rumour, but this one's very fresh off the press rumour, and that is the Pokemon Company are hiring currently for localization. And this, again, it's kind of like the LinkedIn one, right? So Metroid Prime, the thought behind it became that they saw a designer on LinkedIn. Well, this one is on in the UK, the Pokemon Company is currently hiring localizers for all European languages for their next major game, I guess. And so it's going to be a 6 month contract for some, but there's also some that's like a year-long contract. And it's just your typical... People have said that with prior Pokemon games, this is typically what they do. During development, mainly towards the end of development, they hire a bunch of localizers, freelance ones, as well as a few internal, to localize the whole game. And then on these contracts that obviously end when the game comes out, or just before the game comes out. So that would mean, if they're currently hiring, and I think the cut-off date is something like March or April for this job position, that would mean that localization for the Pokemon Switch game is going to begin this spring. Which, if it's only for 6 months, could imply that the game will be finished and localized by next September, which means... if that is the case, it's definitely coming out this year. So
I mean that would be a big win for the Switch.
And that does back up kind of what Nintendo did with their investors meeting, right? They had all the games that they had announced on lists for release dates, and while Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta were still like TBD, Pokemon was listed for 2018. So I think that this is all kind of a big sign that points towards, Pokemon, the next generation of Pokemon, is coming out this year. And I think we'll find out soon, because Pokemon Company usually like to announce whenever their new game comes out usually they announce it in February, March time, but if localization's not going to begin properly until April, then maybe not. But also, then again, all the job listings are for like German, Spanish, Italian, from Japanese to that. So maybe the UK one is already or the American one, the English one, is already being worked on, and they've got enough stuff, and they're just not going to show off the other language versions until closer to the date. Like, I think that's happened before. They never show off the other language versions, basically. So maybe we'll find out about it soon. The next Pokemon game. But yeah, what do you guys think about these job listings and stuff like that? Do you think, because it's not Game Freak that are hiring, it's the Pokemon company. So there's always a possibility that it could be for a spin-off title. So I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on whether they think Pokemon could come out here, and if Pokemon coming out this year is a good thing or not. Because I've seen some people worry that if Pokemon will come out this year, they'll have rushed it, and it won't be a good game. So Mango, why don't you start?
Sure. I've been kind of surprised with Nintendo so far with the Switch, because the release dates have actually been like on point. Like, oh, we're going to release this game at this point. It's like, yeah, sure, yeah, Xenoblade's coming December. Yeah, I really believe you. And then it's like, oh, no, it did. Okay. And I forget, I think some other games like that too. But it's like, oh, maybe I should trust you with like the release dates you're actually putting out. So even though I think Pokemon would probably come out like late 2019 based off of their history, that they usually have 3 years in between, and Sun and Moon came out like 2016. I guess it wouldn't be. Maybe they are actually going to be ready for 2018 if this is being lined up for it. Like they're doing localization now or soon.
Spazzy?
I feel like holding off on your big guns isn't like. You want to make sure that you have a steady amount of content being delivered, but they still are going to have enough, and you want to keep the momentum going. And this year looks like it's going to be a year with a lot of ports, a lot of third parties filling out, release slots. To have a game as big as Pokemon in the fall would be awesome. Nintendo still has a proper Mario Kart somewhere down the line. 2D Mario Maker, which is separate from 2D Mario. They have Animal Crossing. They have Smash Brothers. There's plenty of stuff that they can, there could be a sequel to Breath of the Wild. There's plenty of stuff that they can put out. So there's to hold something back if they're ready, because we don't know how long the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, have been working on an HD version of Pokemon. This could have been something that had been worked on in the background for a while now. So I don't think it should be rushed, but I don't think Nintendo's not a company to rush something out just to have it out. And if it is ready, then I think this year would be a great time to release it.
Yeah. And to add to that, Sun and Moon actually have like HD models.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably changed some of the textures and whatnot, but they have all this stuff there that they could probably port over and save a bunch of time.
Yeah, well, if we're going to go off, I guess, rumors and all that was going on about, it seems like Sun and Moon came out in 2016, and then as soon as that began development, Game Freak were exploring Switch, because there was the rumored, obviously, Pokemon Stars from last year, but from what I understand, is that was basically just a tech demo. Like, they ported a bunch, kind of like when the Wii U first came out, Nintendo's Zelda team ported Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess, well, quote-unquote ported. They put assets onto it to see how it would look in HD, and then decided they were going to make Wind Waker HD based on that. It seems like Game Freak took assets and stuff from Sun and Moon, put it onto the Switch, put it in HD, and saw how it would look, and how it would feel on the Switch and stuff like that. And that was happening, right after Sun and Moon released. And then from there, they've begun making it as a brand new title instead. So that kind of gives us, if we take that all at face value and believe it's true, that kind of gives us a time frame for this. Is Pokemon Switch starting very beginning of 2017. So by the time it comes out, it'll have been just under 2 years if it comes out at the end of this year. So that is quite short, especially for Game Freak's first proper HD game. So I can understand people's fears about it. But it depends on how much content it has and how much it tries to change itself as a Pokemon game. Like, they could literally have the gameplay feel like Sun and Moon, and all they have to really do is make a bunch of new Pokemon and change all the locales.
Yeah, and it's not like they're going to make 150 Pokemon again. They've been going with like 70 to 80.
Yeah, which makes more sense, sure. Because they're just going to keep adding them at this point. There's going to be like 800 to 900 Pokemon.
Oh my gosh, at one point we're going to reach 1,000 and it's going to be insane.
Yeah. And then a time blast rewipes history and all the Pokemon are gone and we start from ground zero. But yeah, have you guys got any more thoughts on this potentially Pokemon coming out this year?
That's it's Pokemon. I wonder. I'm not a big Pokemon fan, so I really don't have too much feedback. I'm always interested in seeing what the starters are, what region it's in, but that's mostly just because I know I'm going to see some of that stuff in Smash.
Well, do you think if Pokemon comes out this year, Nintendo won't release another major title because Pokemon's pretty big? So do you think they'd want it competing with something like Smash or Animal Crossing?
I think that's fine. I think one would have to be a November title, and one would have to be...
Pokemon will be November. It's always November.
Right, and then if you released Animal Crossing like in September, October, I think you'd be fine. Because that would be that spot where you're starting to build a pipe, and it would still be a holiday item without being the big holiday item.
Yeah.
So just to carry it over.
Yeah.
Because I think holidays you need kind of that 1-2 punch. You don't need it, but it's always good,
All right, well, let's move on. We got 3 final news stories to talk about. Some quick 1, 2, 3 punches from us, just to discuss, because we throw them on there at the end. First is that they've announced some new Splatoon 2 amiibo. This time based off of Off the Hook with Marina and Pearl, which we kind of knew was coming for a while. I remember that Splatoon 2 got, people looked through the data and found references to a Pearl, Marina, and I think an Octoling amiibo, if I remember the rumor correctly. But at the same time, I think this exact same thing happened with Splatoon 1, where they found evidence of a Callie Marie and Octoling amiibo, and then the Octoling amiibo never came out. And we're kind of going the same sort of thing. Splatoon launches with a male, female, and squid amiibo, and then halfway through the life cycle of the game, they announced 2 amiibo based off of the 2 new idols of the game. And that brings more content, and then the Octoling gets shafted again. But I think they look like quite nice amiibo. I don't own Splatoon 2, and so I'm not sure if I'll get them. I did get Callie and Marie in the end, but I actually liked Marie, and then Callie I just kind of got to have both of them. But with I don't really know anything about Off the Hook. I prefer Marina, but it's purely from a visual point of view because I've not actually played Splatoon 2 yet.
I mean, Splatoon 2, if you like Splatoon 1, you'll like Splatoon 2. It's more of...
Yeah, pretty much.
It and Fire Emblem Warriors are on my list of games that I'll pick up when I've not got any sort of immediate games to play. Which might be never, but...
I'm looking forward to Hyrule Warriors because I never picked that up on any platform.
Oh, if you've never picked it up, this is the time to get it. I'm not looking forward to it because I played it for 400 hours and I'm not doing that again. I 100%ed the one on Wii U with all DLC and got everyone to the highest level and did every mission. I'm not doing it again. So I really hope there's no real new... I can live with not having Breath of the Wild costumes. But if they added new characters, I would be compelled to buy it, and I don't want to.
You're going to get stuck with the review.
Hey, yeah, if I get it with a review, I could play it for 10 minutes and be like, okay, this is all different. All right, cool. Now I can write. I'd play it properly. But I think Triss or Push want the review if we get it, because I think Push reviewed the last 2 versions of Hyrule Warriors Legends.
Oh my gosh.
He reviewed the Wii U and 3DS one, so if we get the Switch one as well.
But yeah, I think the Amiibos look good. I think Amiibos have come a long way. They're just much nicer looking now. And I kind of wonder about the future of Amiibos because I feel like it's not... They're not what they used to be,
No, well, I think it's a perfect example of Nintendo bursting their load too early, right?
Yeah.
They basically launched it with Smash and launched all of their major characters and series all at once, and were releasing Amiibo at 6, 7, 8 at a time. and now there's so many, and they've done all their main characters that they've resorted to basically reselling their prior characters. And this one has a new pose. This time Samus is crouching down.
Yeah.
This time Mario has a top hat. It's like...
And they have to differentiate, like, no, this Samus has this special amiibo feature, and this one doesn't. It's like, wait a second, why is this other Samus one useless now for this game?
I hate that. That's the one thing that really has put me off of Amiibo. Because before I was all okay with them. Maybe it's because I was buying them. But now, I don't want to... My moral standard for this was always that I wouldn't re-buy the same character unless there was a good reason. So, like, I bought Silver Mario because he was rare, quote unquote, and they weren't releasing him over here in Europe. But like, I bought the 8-bit Mario, and then I got given Wedding Mario. But I don't actually have regular Mario. But I do have Dr. Mario. But I feel like Dr. Mario is different enough. And I got Dr. Mario because you don't ever see any Dr. Mario kind of merchandise.
That's the best part about Amiibos. Well, first of all, I do have 3 Samuses, but 1's Zero Suit, so that doesn't count.
Yeah, that doesn't
basically
count.
Different. And the one that they released for Return of Samus is so much better than the one for Smash. Like, it just looks better, and you can really see the evolution of Amiibos when you compare the two. You're like, this one can barely stand and looks like garbage, and this one is awesome.
Yeah, I think actually another good comparison is Link from Smash and then the Twilight Princess Amiibo Link.
Yeah,
because it's
for sure.
In that case, it's like literally the same Link in a different pose, but the Twilight Princess one looks a lot nicer. And so you can really see from that how they're evolving. But I think what happened with Amiibo is that they realized that they can't just release loads at once, and that series Amiibo. I think the Animal Crossing Amiibo did it. Like, they released so many of them, and they just didn't sell.
And they released them with a game nobody cared about.
Yeah,
and
that doesn't help.
You can go to the supermarket and buy something, and they'll give you a free Animal Crossing Amiibo. They're all like, hey.
It's like that bad. And so I think what Nintendo is starting to do is they're only releasing Amiibo alongside games. Like, I think that, like what they did with Fire Emblem Echoes last year, they released 2 Amiibo for the main characters. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did exactly the same thing this year with Fire Emblem Switch. Released an Amiibo of the main character along with the game.
My favorite Amiibos have always been, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit too with Dr. Mario, is that, oh, that's awesome. I have Shulk, and I have Little Mac, and I have characters that I don't normally get any merchandise of.
Yeah.
Game & Watch.
Yeah.
Duck Hunt Dog, yeah. Ness and Lucas.
Yeah, even like the Rob, which is, it's a cool little like Rob statue, basically. So those are the ones that like I'm like, these are awesome, and that's why I'm glad Smash did one for each character, because those characters don't normally get any merchandise.
Yeah,
it's.
I think that whenever the next Smash comes out, whether it be this year or next year, Amiibo, it'll also come with Amiibo again. I think. And
I was gonna say, are they gonna do another like 60, 70
No, I mean, I don't think they will, because I think they might release Amiibo cards for Smash, because they did say they might do that at some point. They released Animal Crossing once, but on that it makes sense. There's like 1 million villagers you can release a different card for. But they might, rather than remaking all the figures in a brand new pose, they might just do cards of all the previous ones and then just make figures of the newcomers. So, like, Ice Climbers figure and another Inkling Smash figure and Bomberman figure if he's in the game. You know what I mean? Like,
oh man, I want a Bomberman Amiibo now.
Yeah. Good, then and I think alongside that they'll probably do female Robin, because they did that with Corrin. And I could see male Wii Fit Trainer Amiibo.
How would they just re-release female Wii Fit Trainer? That one you still can't find.
No, you get male Wii Fit Trainer now. Yeah, I think they'll do that as well for Player 2 Amiibos, because that's just a way to make more, and it makes fans of those types happy. Female Villager Amiibo, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to make the 7 other villagers.
No, I think the Koopalings probably won't get Amiibo each.
Oh gosh, yeah, right.
I would love a Koopaling Amiibo that's just all of the Koopalings in the card.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the next Mario series amiibo. It's just the
Yeah, they get a
seven
giant
Koopalings.
one, like Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
They're like, get this 8-pack. It's only $150, and we glued them together.
Why is Detective Pikachu so big? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
It's so absurd. It just makes it more expensive.
so they can charge. Yeah, so they can charge more for it.
Yeah. Oh well.
What is it, like half the cost of the game?
Oh well. So yeah, that's the amiibo, which we talked a lot longer than I was expecting to on it. So the next piece of news was Kingdom Hearts 3 got a brand new trailer, D20 from D23, and if you were following up with any Kingdom Hearts leaks, there wasn't really anything surprising in it. It was because basically their big reveal was, hey, Monsters Inc. has got a world, but that actually got leaked months ago.
It was cool to see the design, though, of Sora and the crew as monsters.
Oh yeah, no, it was nice to see it all in motion. It looks a lot more filled. I remember a lot of fear around the original screenshots is it just looked empty.
Yeah,
the Monsters Inc. world, and this makes it look a lot nicer. You're basically running around the whole factory. You can jump off the roof of the factory down to below. You can hang on to the doors and grind along the rails. And I thought that was neat.
I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 4. When Disney owns Fox and you get to go through The Simpsons. It's going to be great.
Gosh.
But it's nice to see footage of this. One other thing is nice is they actually finally showed us footage from the Tangled world and actually showed us Rapunzel and Finn. Because that's the first time we've actually seen them fighting. The only times we've seen partners with the main trio is with Woody and Buzz prior to this.
It looks good too.
Yeah, it does look good. I think they both look fun. I like that every level is basically giving you two partners now to work with, rather than one.
I also like how Toy Story and Monsters Inc. The game, when you look at the character models in the game, they look better than how the characters look in the first Monsters Inc. and in the first two Toy Stories.
That Square Enix touch.
Yeah, we've come a long ways, guys.
Yeah. What I'm surprised is we haven't seen anything from Big Hero 6 yet. That was announced. Yeah. Well, that was a really early world announced, and they didn't show any footage of it at all. So that's interesting. I'm assuming the two characters are Baymax and the kid whose name I don't know. But...
Did they say that's in the game?
Yeah, no. The Big Hero 6 was the second world they confirmed. And they released concept art of a big Heartless in the middle of the city and Sora riding on the back of Baymax as they fly around it. But then we haven't seen anything from that since. So...
It still seems weird to me that this is a game that exists and is coming out. But we're seeing it.
Don't jump the gun yet. You say coming out. I mean,
yeah. I'm pretty sure the name of the kid in Big Hero 6 is Hero. By the way,
yeah,
I'm pretty positive his name is Hero. But anyways,
yeah, there's still a lot of really random. I feel like the cutscenes. There's just something off about them. They feel like they're in way too early productions. Literally, they showed off two cutscenes in this one. One is in the Monsters Inc. world between Vanitas, who I guess is now confirmed to be back, and Sora. And the other one is between, I think his name is Sykes. He's the pink-haired member of the organization, and Sora. And they just kind of, the cutscenes aren't taking place anywhere special. It's like Sykes is just in the middle of the woods, and Vanitas and Sora are just standing there in the middle of this massive room inside the factory. And I feel like that's really like they've just kind of taken an area, a big open area, just throwing the characters in the middle and like, yeah, here's the scene. Doesn't feel like they've been built around it, if you kind of know what I mean. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking that, but...
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's a special reason. It's just like, hi, I'm here now.
Yeah. And it just seems a bit random. I don't know if it's just for trailers. I don't know if the final product will be like that. But at least we're seeing something of it. And I guess the other thing they confirmed is the first summon of the game will be Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Because there's the scene of she appears and makes a big whirlpool, but they're clearly in the Tangled level, so it's presumably a summon like how Simba was in the first game, and Genie has been in every game. But if she's a summon, that pretty much deconfirms Atlantis for a world. Because they tend to not, because she's the main character, they tend to have only summons from side. they only tend to have side characters as the summons from worlds from that are already in the game, not the main character herself. So yeah, I guess that's not happening again. But I guess what can you do with Little Mermaid?
Well, it's weird because don't they have the Hercules world in here for like the 16th time?
Well,
Yeah.
you can't have a Kingdom Hearts game without the Coliseum. That's a rule.
Yeah.
It's in the contract. Disney actually said, "Hey."
But who's the partner? I mean, every level's had two partners so far. Is it Hercules and Cloud? I mean, it's almost always Final Fantasy VII and Hercules. You had Cloud in one, you had Zack in one, you had Sephiroth in one. So what's going on? You have Barrett and Hercules climbing up fucking Mount Olympus together.
Bring Barts.
I mean, there's going to be some Final Fantasy 15 people in this game somewhere, right?
Yeah, Noctis will be
Oh, gosh.
somewhere.
Yeah, Noctis, yeah.
Alright, so the final news story we had, very briefly, is someone made a custom Jigglypuff GameCube controller. And it
it's
looks
horrifying.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's like the A button and the B button are like his eyes.
Oh,
And
God, yeah.
It's just... I think that's
Yeah.
what makes it. Otherwise, a pink controller with
Yeah.
the Jigglypuff quiff is kind of...
It's like
It-
like
then-
Cronenberg body horror. It's
Yeah.
like disgusting.
It's just then you notice the eyes and the mouth, and it's like it's just kind of twisted a Jigglypuff to the shape of a GameCube controller. I don't understand why.
Oh man, we
Yeah.
should we'll put a link or something, or maybe we can put an actual image up here, like, because you have to see it if you haven't seen it to know what we're talking about. And the thing is, like, from afar, like, if it didn't have the eyes and the mouth was different, it's kind of cute.
Yeah. Well,
It's
we'll
kind
have,
of like,
we'll have
oh.
a link to it below.
Yeah,
So-
like I wonder if they had made the B button the joystick, if it would have looked a little bit better. But that would have been weird because you'd be, moving the
Yeah.
eye everywhere. But like, but I don't know. I would have to see it. But like, that was a weird decision unless they were purposefully just trying to make it disturbing looking.
Alright, so we've been talking for a while. I think that's it for the news stories. Let's quickly go over some Source Gaming articles.
All right.
Just we won't spend lots of time on this because we've kind of gone a lot longer than I was expecting us to. But the first one of these was a guest article, and it is about what have Xenoblade Chronicles X's staff been up to. So this kind of came out from the recent revelation that only 40% of the staff who are working on Xenoblade Chronicles X worked on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Might have even been less than 40%. And a lot of the major players from Xenoblade Chronicles X weren't on this game. So this is very much like a B team, which you can tell when you play the game. It's like it's a bit rough around the edges. The story, I personally feel like, isn't as interesting and as wide-reaching as the first game. I mean, it's better than X by far, but X didn't really have a story, so
Yeah.
But like it's brought up a lot of questions about what are the rest of the staff doing? Are they working on another Xenoblade Chronicles X? Because that's something they thought they would do, or are they working on that other game? They showed off concept art for it. The new action RP, the new action adventure game that they're working on, the new IP. So is that where all their focus has gone?
Yeah, and it's an interesting article, and it's interesting just to think, because I don't even really know if all of that, there's no way to confirm it. Because they've done a lot of, concept art over the last few years. And I'm like, is this all from the same IP? I'm guessing it is, but...
Yeah, there was that 3DS game that they released
Yeah.
concept art for that then never came to be. So,
But yeah, I mean, I guess the summary of it, and obviously read the article, is that there's a lot of staff at Monolith Soft, and a lot of them are helping on different Nintendo projects, and a lot of them were working on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but there's still people that are working on something else.
yeah,
And,
that no one knows.
yeah, whatever it is, I'm excited about because I like Monolith Soft.
Yeah, well, hopefully, if they've been working on it for a while, we might see it in 2019 or something. Like if they've been working on this since Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, I know some of X's staff got taken away for Breath of the Wild, but I don't think that's all of the staff. I can't imagine that's like 60% of the staff were taken for for Breath of the Wild. So there's got to have been like at least 40% of people just working on this since X had come out. With the team just progressively getting bigger as other projects finish up. But anyway, read that article if you want to find out more of the facts about this and some other speculation from the author. The next one we had on our list was Diddy Kong Racing 2 Dream Roster, which was made by Anvil with contributions from myself and Cartboy and I think some other SG staff. And it's just what would you like to see from Diddy Kong Racing? I remember there being some sort of deliberation over this because we weren't quite sure. So the inspiration for this roster's been floating around for a while. Back when we first did Dream Rosters, and originally we got inspired by that rumor that said that Monster Games were working on a Diddy Kong Racing game, and that it was going to include obscure Nintendo characters, with like Dylan and the guy from Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. And I liked the idea of that, because the original Diddy Kong Racing was obviously meant to be really obscure, or rare characters that Rare had, potentially had plans for making their own game. That's why Banjo and Conker were there. And even though most of them never came to be, I liked that idea. So we'd originally planned for this to be Diddy Kong without the Rare characters and filled with Nintendo characters and Kongs. But we kind of came into some, I guess, arguments over it. Not like heated arguments, but Cartboy pointed out that basically confirmed by Rare, they own all the characters from Diddy Kong Racing, apart from the Kongs and Kremlins. So I was always of the mindset that we shouldn't use any of the Diddy Kong Racing characters at all.
I was with you on that too.
Yeah, but Anvil and Cartboy were arguing for them being there because otherwise it wouldn't be Diddy Kong Racing. And it would just be another Rare collaboration, which I just don't feel would happen. Which kind of bummed me out that we went that direction in the end, because it also meant that a lot of the other potential Nintendo characters I was recommending got pushed aside. Like I was pretty sure Barbara the Bat would be a great option for this, because she's not so obscure that no one knows her, but she's also not so popular that everyone knows her.
Yeah, she was a Smash Assist trophy that is no longer there. That's all you need to know about her.
Yeah,
she's like right there. Yeah, and it was funny that Crystal was put on.
I threw Crystal on there as well for that Rare reference, and then they went for Tricky instead for that Diddy Kong Racing reference. But I'm not quite sure how Tricky would even work in a cart. But I guess they don't need to worry about that. Yeah.
Maybe they just take out the wheels and just have like the cart as a body.
Yeah,
just runs.
And they're kind of overshadowed by the actual Diddy Kong characters, and it makes it seem less like a B-level all-star game. And I think all you need for Diddy Kong Racing is the different types of carts. You can fly, you can, and have it star Diddy Kong. I think that's all you need, and then it's Diddy Kong Racing.
Well, I was thinking because there's that current rumor that Sumo Digital are working on a new racing game, and they did the Sega All Stars Racing, and that has water, plane,
right, exactly,
ground-based
transformed.
Thing. So I thought they would make a great time for a new Diddy Kong game, and because Nintendo have already released a Mario Kart, it's not a new Mario Kart, so people still have that kind of craving for a new kart game.
You say that, but it's also already outselling its original...
Yeah, I know. But the Switch has already outsold the Wii U, so...
And with so many people saying that they're not going to buy the port because they already owned it on Wii U, I'm all like, I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, I didn't, but that's because I bought it on Wii U and I bought all the DLC for it. I have no reason to buy it on Switch now. But
I bought it on the Switch because I thought it would be fun to have a really good Mario Kart on the go if I feel... honestly, man, last year at E3, I had my Switch with Mario Kart 8. Someone else had their Switch with Mario Kart 8. We were waiting in line. We took out our Joy-Cons and we did 4-player Mario Kart with 2 systems.
Yeah, no, well, we did it when we were in Japan. I met up with some people and we went to a park and we all started playing Mario Kart. So we all started playing Mario Kart Switch in just a park in Japan. But I didn't actually have it, so I had to borrow someone else's Joy-Cons to come over here.
Yeah, and honestly, it's great for conventions and stuff because you're sitting in line and you need to do something, and
Yeah. So, but I feel like this would be a good chance to have another kart game, and Donkey Kong has had a few racing games in the past, so why not another Donkey Kong racing game?
I'm just glad Dylan got on there and Mallow. Those dudes need more exposure.
Yeah. I like to say that the Splatoon characters were the Splatoon jellyfish was my recommendation.
Jalonzo?
Yeah, Jalonzo, yeah.
You know what? Did we not have any Animal Crossing characters? I feel like that's weird, right? Like any like random.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really
Other
think.
animals.
I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I think because Animal Crossing is such a big series, so
Yeah, but you get like C or D level Animal Crossing.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Officer Coop or whatever.
Yeah. Mango,
All
do you
right.
have any thoughts on this article? Or we'll move on to the next one.
Not really. I like the roster.
Okay.
I like how Diddy Kong Racing is basically like a racing game for reject characters.
Yeah. Okay, I think the last article we're going to talk about, because it's getting on now, is an SG roundtable we did a few weeks back on ports for the Nintendo Switch. Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? So Mango and me both contributed, but Spazzy, you didn't. So
Nope.
What are your thoughts on this? Because they're going to be
Well,
completely
my thoughts are that I was actually doing Twitter polls on this, and 74% of people, that I'd have to actually get it up. 74% of people, that there's so basically there's a decent amount. Only 74% of people that own a Wii U have a Switch. Like there's people that are holding out. And out of those people that own both, I think 90-something% are okay with ports. So honestly, and we have it's a small sample size, but still, when you have 600 people voting on something, it's enough of a sample size to say something. So honestly, the people that really have problems with ports are a very small vocal minority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like they just are. They're not. Most people they're like people that like this is an insult to Wii U owners, and I'm like, no, man, like. Clearly, there are people that like I said, there's only 74% of Switch owners owned a Wii U. That means that you have 26% that don't. Those people never had access to all of these games. And now that the Wii U is being outsold by the Switch, that's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow. So just because you had the opportunity to play, I don't know, Captain Toad, doesn't mean you don't want other people to get that opportunity. And it's not like it's unfair to you, because you know what? You had years where you could play that game before these people could. You had years of playing Splatoon before anyone. You're saying you didn't get your enjoyment out of that?
Yeah.
You're just gonna wait until now to play that? No, because you literally had years of playing that. And now you can use your time for something else. You don't have to buy this port. But then for people like me, I have my Wii U now set up downstairs, and I have my Switch in my bedroom, and I take my Switch with me. I'm going to rebuy a lot of these ports just because I don't want to have my Switch, or I don't want to have my Wii U set up to have to play it. So I think ports are a great thing. I don't even, they don't even need to be enhanced ports, although please enhance them all you want.
Yeah, no, I was kind of of the same opinion. Like, I probably won't get any of the ports unless it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because I love that game and it deserves another chance, and I will support that. But the games like Tropical Freeze, I won't buy it again, but I love Tropical Freeze on the Wii U.
Yeah, but I played it already.
It's definitely a game that more people needed to play and need another chance. So having it be imported is great. Wonderful 101 is another game that I think was really underperformed, but is actually a lot of fun. It's a bit difficult to get used to. I'll definitely admit that, but it was great cheese from Platinum Games.
Yeah, and I would totally buy like Xenoblade Chronicles X again, just because that's a game that, first of all, I never finished it, but even if I hadn't, I think having that, I feel like now that the first Xenoblade 2 has sold to over 1 million, it's a good way to pad out Monolith's releases, where you'll have, hey, maybe we'll have Xenoblade Chronicles X2 in a year, but you know, they don't have to come out with a game every year, but then they can come out with a port or a remaster of a game that I feel like more people should have played, and I would like to play it, and I would also like more quality of life improvements in that game, which I think they'll do, because the text was so small.
Well, my thoughts, though, was that why just limit this to the Wii U, right? If you're going to go HD ports, go full factor on it. Give us a Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 HD release, a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, Star Fox Assault, could be an F-Zero GX. They don't want to make a new F-Zero game. Give us a HD remaster of the GameCube one that's a lot of people's favourites. Like,
Right,
and I think
or-
people would be happy. Add online to it, improve the quality of the cutscenes, and yeah, people would be good to go for that. Ocarina
especially
of Time and
collections.
Majora's Mask for 3DS, that people have been hoping that Nintendo will make a HD version of those two games.
Yeah, do a Zelda collection. Do
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Wind Waker HD as a set. I'd pay full price for that.
Like, yeah, they're like, don't just limit them. I don't want Nintendo to limit themselves to Wii U, because I think ports do work to help pad out the release schedule, but I think also people will be more willing to buy ports that weren't just Wii U. I think because Wii is now, 10 years old, I think people would be willing to buy Mario Galaxy again and Metroid Prime Trilogy again, because it doesn't feel as recent. And also, this will be the first time they're in HD, whereas the Wii U's, they're already all in HD.
I wouldn't mind 3DS ports. Give me an HD remaster with new textures and revised controls for Kid Icarus Uprising, and I'm in.
Oh yes, definitely for Kid Icarus,
Oh, yeah.
I would 100%. Well, Mango, what were your thoughts on this one?
So it kind of annoyed me, but like I understand, obviously it makes money, and most of the people who are buying Switch probably don't have a Wii U, so basically on all fronts it makes sense, and I don't disagree with that. I just think that from someone who played most of the Wii U games, to me it signals like, okay, is this year going to be like a slow year because you have to make all these ports to pad out your schedule, and that's why you're doing ports, not just because, different, plenty of good money reasons, but because you don't have anything to, well, not nothing, but you don't have as many games to put out this year, and you're just kind of filling the gaps. Because if it's like, oh, these next 3 or 4 months are the big game for the month is a port, it's like, okay, well, when am I going to get a new game like to play, right? That kind of thing.
All right, okay, I think that does it for. I think we should start closing off this podcast now, 'cause it's an hour and a half long. So, I want to thank both of you guys for joining me for episode 11 now. So, thank you both.
Pleasure to be here as always.
Mm-hmm. And everyone who's listening, thank you for getting through this. Let us know what your thoughts were on any of these stories that we had. Let me know about the rumours and even the SG articles as well. What are your thoughts on ports? What are your thoughts on Diddy Kong Racing 2 and Xenoblade? Just, share it all down there. We'll read it and we'll reply. It'll be a good old laugh. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, look forward to the next podcast that comes out. Hopefully there'll be some more breaking news stories that we can discuss. Until then, always make sure you return to the source.